What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and there has been some Zelda Ocarina of Time remake news, and in this video we're just going to be going over all the news, big, small, and yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, it's actually not even that crazy of news, but there's just been nothing else about the game, so this is kind of all we have to talk about, so let's dive into it. So, one of our big, news for this video is, well, the game being called Reborn in some way, or Reborn in Time. So, for a while now, people have been, thinking that this game is really going to be a very large remake, a very ambitious remake, because of the fact that, or one of the main reasons at least, that it is called Reborn, that they keep using that word. So it's not even officially called Reborn, but Nintendo keeps using the word Reborn. And if you know video games in general, usually that word is, kept for more ambitious remakes. And, of course it's also mystical, kind of, and this game is kind of mystical, so there's also a slight connection there. And super recently, that's news, Nintendo just started using Reborn and Reborn within time. That was phrases a lot, an extremely large amount in variety of things, but mainly we found it in leaks. And because of that, that's got people speculating that, this really could be ambitious. But, I am not so confident on that. For these reasons. First off, I feel like people are taking the Reborn word and just blowing it out of proportion a little bit. Just because they use this word does not mean really anything, and I do think people overreact. So if you hear anything about oh wow, people are thinking this might be so crazy because of this Reborn thing, I wouldn't get your hopes too high up on that. Now, I do think it might still be a really ambitious remake, but I just don't think that it being referred to as a Reborn remake should give us those thoughts. Also, there have been leaks, which these are a little bit older leaks, but of the game being $70, or $60, which is also makes me think it might not be as ambitious as we think. And there's a small part of me that thinks, well, since it's $70 or $60, since it's around that lower price tag, it just may not be as ambitious. Nintendo tends to go with, around 70 to 80 for more of their ambitious games. I mean, Zelda Ocarina of Time remake is definitely an ambitious one. So, it worries me that, we've seen leaks of it not being that expensive. So, those are my reasons why I think people might be getting a little too overly excited, getting their hopes up a little too high. But, at the end of the day, it's always fun to get your hopes up a little high. And, there's the whole fact of, since they use the phrase reborn within time or whatever, you know how the small clip of the game we got where it's he's sleeping in his bed and it's the narrator's oh, but one boy and stuff. Because of that, it makes me, I could really see that connection. So, because of that, it kind of gives me hope that, Reborn within time means something. But also, I want to be doubtful, so that's just the news within the Reborn phrase that's going around. There is some other news as well. Again, not that big of news, but like I said, just, trying to get the information out. Apparently, some, Amazon, or I think it was GameStop, actually, their internal company or whatever, was, leaked something that, about the game, and it being, a $60 game, and it just, being kind of, cheap and random, and people were no way, it's $60, that means it won't be near as ambitious. What's this? Well, if you've seen any of that, this leak, was not true at all, and it was not even on purpose. It is, it got mixed up with some other game, and they completely messed it up. So I'm just letting you know that that is not true, and I can confirm that's not true, because Nate the Hate, if you don't know who Nate the Hate is, he's a 100% reliable leaker. He never gets stuff wrong, and he was like, listen guys, that's nothing. Like, that's not, that they meant that for something else. So I'm just letting you know that, just because if you see that going around, like, oh, what, it's $60, or this and that, don't really need to worry about that part, because it's just like, it's not going to be that bad. Or, because that leak was not true. Nate the Hate confirmed it was not true. Side note, if you're liking this video, it would help more than you realize if you subscribed, and left a like, and leave a comment if you're feeling up to it. I love that, if you would do that. Moving on, another little thing about this is, if you are interested in the toy market, there is going to be a Highland Shield and the Master Sword from a big brand toy company coming out presumably around when this game comes out, and that is happening. Again, I know it's not very important, but I'm just letting you know the news that is the current news. Now, moving on, we do need to talk about when this game might actually come out, because unfortunately, we're being kind of left in the dark about it. Nintendo's being usual Nintendo selves and not really doing anything or giving us information about the game. But the game comes out this year, and we should have information about the game if it comes out this year. We don't have a release date, we just know this year. It's too much of a time gap that's also too close to us. So, like, when do we think something could be happening? Well, a lot of people have been speculating, and I'm kind of on board with this, is the guesses are that we will probably get news of the game in August, one way or another. There should be a September Direct, which, you know, it also could be there, so it's going to be like between August, September time, where we could see news about it, and then the like big going theory right now is October for when the game might actually release, and honestly that checks out with me. I feel like that would make sense. You know, I feel like we could use an October game. Switch to Sports Resort, that game is also going to be coming out similar time, but unfortunately that series and that game just isn't big enough to really, you know, bother Ocarina of Time. It's like, oh, two big game releases next to each other? Not really. It's like, Ocarina of Time, wow, and then, you know, switch to Sports Resort. Speaking of that, though, I am excited for both, and I'm, you know, hopefully both are amazing. Point is, these are like time frames when we think stuff could happen. You know, like, it should be October, November, our guess is for, like, when the game could release, and then August, September on when we could see news. More specifically, probably more like August when we can see news, and more October when it might come out. Of course, those are just guesses, because Nintendo won't give us anything, but, I mean, that's our guesses. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. I hope you loved it, and if you've made it this far, you clearly like my content, so it'd help out more than you realize if you could like and subscribe. Remember, it helps out way more than you realize. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace out, everyone.